What's up, everyone? This week on SmackDown, Miz did a promo that was phenomenal. It was a really well done promo, and it's something he's been doing consistently for the past year or two now. And honestly, I wanted to make this video because I wanted to discuss why WWE should take notice of this promo. Because this promo came during a segment of a storyline that is just complete bullshit and has been uninteresting since the last couple of weeks when it began. So a quick bit of context for people who may not watch WWE or have not been up to date with it. There was a tournament that happened a couple of a month ago or two, I believe. Best in the world. There was 8 wrestlers competing, and Miz made it to the final. During this match with Dolph Ziggler in the final, he got injured and Shane McMahon had decided to volunteer and replace him, and he ended up winning. So Miz, believing that he softened Dolph Ziggler up, as you know, as Miz's character used to do, being the fact that he's an egocentric A-list actor as his character is, and believes that he is better than everyone. So he believes that Shane won because of him. Since then, he has been calling two of them co-best in the world, because he believes that Shane was the 2/3 champ and that he is the third. That he is a third of the best in the world. So yeah, that's been a step. And for ages, he's been trying to get Shane to become a part of a tag team with him. So this on SmackDown this week, well, last week at this point now, he had a segment. Oh my god, I'm all over the place today. He had a segment called Miz TV. Shane McMahon was a special guest. He came down, and basically Miz did something that surprised the hell out of me. I had no interest in the story. This segment, I was just like, come on, can we just get over this? I don't care about the storyline. Mind you, the Raw and SmackDown this week have been atrocious. They have been some of the worst I have seen in a while. So at this point, I was just like, can we just fucking get over it? I don't care anymore. I'm tired of it. I just wanted to end so I can watch something better. But then Miz comes along, and there was one of his awesome promos like he usually does every now and then. And it got me invested. He was talking about how his dad was never proud of him despite all the accomplishments he'd made, but then he saw Shane McMahon wrestle for the Best in the World trophy. And Miz was like, why do you like him? And he's saying, because he fights for what he believes in, he's willing to take risks to get to do what he believes in, to win what he thinks should be his. He's not afraid to take risks to get what he wants. And it's basically, Miz said, his dad said, imagine if you teamed up with him, you'd be in a stop and tag team. That'd be something to be proud of. And then Miz really used that to get some emotion out of the fans. This promo segment it really highlighted Miz's strength when it comes to promo. And he is a fantastic talker, and is arguably the best talker in WWE on the roster today. And he managed to make me care about getting Shane to team with him. When Shane at the end said, okay, let's give this a go, shook his hand, I honestly God felt happy for Miz. And then a second later I was like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I suddenly caring about this? And it's because Miz's promo got me engaged. He engaged me in the storyline. It made me feel like sorry for him. It made me root for him. And being that we know that his character is this like cocky, egocentric asshole, this adds a bit more depth, because it's almost like we're seeing another side to this character. And that's the main issue WWE has had for years now, years upon years. Like, here's the sad truth about WWE and wrestling in general. Well, it's particularly WWE. Wrestling is very, very important to WWE and to just the wrestling business in general, the industry in general. Thing is though, if you want to be really successful, it's not the wrestling that gets most people engaged and buying pay-per-views to watch these people wrestle. It's not the wrestling. It's the characters and storylines that come along with it, that are associated with it. That's why the viewership today is much lower than it was back in the Attitude Era. Because in the Attitude Era, everyone was a character. Everyone had their own storyline. The writers tried to make good storylines. There was bad storylines and characters back then as well. But compared to now, there was a lot better back in the Attitude Era. Like, when you saw The Rock and Stone Cold interact and talk in the ring, the fans weren't losing their shit because it was just The Rock and Stone Cold, two good wrestlers talking to each other. It's because it was The Rock, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, and Stone Cold, Austin 316, the Rattlesnake, talking to each other. It was these characters that were built up to be bigger than life itself, interacting. And due to these promos, these discussions, and these two interacting, their matches reached another level. The wrestling was still good, but the storyline and characters made their match go to a whole nother level. And that's what we're missing now. Because the writers don't... I feel like the writers just write story segments just to drag from one week to the other just to get by. They don't have a grand design. They're not making... They have some good storylines every now and then, but very rarely. And if they're just barely getting by, they're just scraping by. And a lot of the wrestlers aren't even characters, they're just really good wrestlers. For example, Seth Rollins. I love Seth Rollins. Fantastic wrestler, one of the best in the world. He's called the Architect. Why? Burn it down, his catchphrase. Why? There probably is a reason. I don't know, and I'm guessing it has something to do with him being the architect and burning it down, but he's not much of a character. The reason people love him is because he's Seth Rollins. He's a workhorse. He's a lot of stamina, credible wrestler, everything. He's great. But his character isn't right there, and he's in a storyline now with Ambrose, and honestly, it's good, but it's kind of weird. It's not really that great at the moment, but at least they're trying with him. But Ambrose is kind of a character. He's a lunatic. The Ambrose Asylum. He's kind of doing a character. Rollins is just Seth freaking Rollins. It's in the name. He's not really a character. He's just being himself, which is what a lot of the wrestlers are doing. And it's not wrong with the wrestlers like having to be themselves. But usually when you go into wrestling, you get a gimmick, and it's usually what your real personality is, multiplied by like 10. And for an example of what I mean, Elias. His character is this rock star who travels around, believes that he is a musical god and everyone loves him. And it works perfectly. People are still engaged with his character. Every week, when he says, "Who wants to walk with Elias?" you hear the fans chant along with it. And you can hear it throughout the stadium. You can hear them cheering, clapping, because his character brings them in and gets them engaged. Like, if he was just a wrestler wrestling a match, they'd probably still enjoy seeing him wrestle, but the character just hypes him up and makes him a spectacle rather than just another talented wrestler going into the ring. And the same with The Miz. Miz has always been a good character. He's always been this like asshole, just coward heel you want to see get killed. You want to see like get the shit kicked out of him in wrestling. But he has really stepped up in the last couple of years. It started for me, I really noticed it, when there was a segment, I think, Talk Smack, it's a SmackDown Talk segment, where he said to Bryan that Bryan always said that he doesn't think Miz is a real wrestler, and then Miz went off and saying that he's the kind of champion he's made prestigious, and you felt the passion. It was a scripted segment, but you felt the passion as Miz said those words. You felt like he believed it, and that he was putting his all into the promo to make it seem believable, to bring the audience in, to make it seem more than just a scripted words being told just to try to get the fans somewhat interested. You can tell the Miz was trying to go to another level to really make it seem real. Obviously, we know wrestling is not real, it's scripted, but it's just part of the act. It's entertainment. It's like a great TV show, like Game of Thrones, can draw you in of its characters and storylines. And wrestling can do the same thing, depending on the quality of the storylines and how the characters are. And that's what Miz... And that's the thing, a good character can make a boring storyline still good, like Miz did. Terrible storyline, want to get Shane McMahon tag with him. Okay, it's not going to go far, I say, but okay. But the fact that promo just gave that storyline a bit of life, and it may be dead now, the next week or two. But for that moment, it got you engaged, and there needs to be a bigger focus on developing characters and like improving the superstars' promo skills, because that is the key to bringing the larger fan base back. Like the hardcore wrestling fans and people who've watched it from years ago to now, they're still going to be here. But adding these epic storylines and characters will really draw in everyone else, and it'll make for a better product in general. And WWE need this, because honestly, it's kind of boring. Like I fast forward, like Raw, I fast forward around half of it. SmackDown, I fast forward half of it, and honestly, they don't miss much. It's the same old recycled shit. They don't try to develop storylines. They just have people wrestling against other people in the same old matches. They'll change the matches around, but it doesn't really matter, because in the end it's just a wrestling match. There's nothing to it. There's nothing underlying. There's no like story relevance to anything. Perfect last example before this video ends, Becky Lynch. She was always likeable. We liked her, like as she was wrestling on SmackDown. Second, she turned heel. And she had this character of she doesn't give a shit. She is the man. She thinks she's the best. She is probably the most popular woman in WWE right now, rivaling maybe even more than Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. And her career has skyrocketed ever since because her promos are good. She's really trying to make this character come to life. And now there's rumours that she could be facing Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35 in the top women's match. Characters, even Ronda Rousey herself, her character is actually Ronda Rousey. She's a very rare exception because she pretty became, she's playing herself. But the fact she spent so long in UFC, become this badass, it's kind of a character in WWE. She's Ronda Rousey. That's why she's the character. We're not the person. It's the badass fighter we've known in UFC. That's who she's playing as. And I know I repeat myself so much, but the character is so important. And Miz does such a good job of just bringing that boring segment to life with his promos. And though we really need to have a look at that, because if they could use that and you just spread it across all the superstars in Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, they would have a much better product, and it would get a lot more fans who have been watching the while more interested and back into the show. Because I want them to keep going. I want it to get better. I enjoy wrestling, and I just want it to get better. Because I want to care again. I want to feel like there's proper passion being put back into the storylines. I want to feel hyped when pay-per-views are coming up in these matches. I don't want to feel just like, I need a pay-per-view. I guess I'll watch it. I look forward to it. It's fun to watch. I want to be like, come on, I can't wait. An epic WrestleMania match. I can't wait to see Becky versus Ronda. It's going to be an awesome match. There's been a lot of build-up. Can't wait to see the result. Sadly, that may not happen. But at least we get Becky and Ronda. And I hope that we really do try to do better with their storylines from here on out. Because I do want to feel hyped again. I miss that feeling. I think that's my little rant over. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.